Hi there, happy Friday. Welcome to the 36th meeting of the Rotary year. So happy to see each of y'all. If you will please rise. Miss Chelsea Page is going to lead us in the invocation pledge and national anthem.
Hello, how are you? Okay, we'll go ahead and start. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And that's just the Star Spangled Banner, right? Can you say it? Thank you.
We're just going to have you. You're so kind. If you'll bow your heads, let's have a word of prayer. Lord, we thank you and praise you and give you the honor and the glory for this day, for spring, just the budding up, the greening. What a wonderful time of the year. Father, we give you the honor and the glory for our lives, our health, every breath we take. We lift up those in this club that are struggling with health issues. Lord, hear our prayer. Lord, we lift up those that are fighting the good fight in Ukraine and for all the surrounding countries, all the refugees that have found a new place. We pray for those that are assisting them. Lord, we are a generous country, and we thank you for our blessings, and let us bless others. Lord, give us this day, and we give you the honor. In Jesus, in his name, amen.
All right.
You're a new member. She's a new member, so she's adjusting here.
John Brown, one of our members, his wife Jan had a stroke on the first part of this week. She is hospitalized and she can't stand. She's having trouble with feeding too. But anyway, we need to keep doing our prayers.
John Brown's wife, Jan, she had a stroke several years ago and had recovered. So, well, she had some issues, but was in relatively good health. Any other concerns?
Any others? I know Nate's dad passed away, didn't he? Yes, and so we remember Nate. Nate's here. Yes. Okay, and so there's a card on the table to sign, and somebody's going to have surgery. Ruth, you haven't had it yet. She's had it, and you're standing up. So congratulate. That's a joy.
That's a joy.
Okay. Anybody else?
And now we're going to sure. We're going to have the national anthem now. Thanks.
You'll have to lead it. I'm sorry.
Oh, say
Can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose bright stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the balls bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does the star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
yeah.
Thank you, Mary and Chelsea. Mark let me know that there's a short in the screens, and so that's why we don't have AV today. So please refer to your newsletters for some great announcements, and your emails, announcements emails, and the website for details on all of our announcements. We're now going to introduce guests. If you brought a guest, if you and your guest will please stand so we can make sure everyone is introduced properly.
Good morning, afternoon. I'd like to introduce you to Derek Brocklebank, my guest today.
Welcome. We're so glad you're here.
Thank you. Good morning or good afternoon, everybody. Keith Mankin. I'm your Assistant District Governor. I came here cleverly thinking I was going to announce and remind you folks that the awards deadline has been moved to April 15th, but of course I was told that that's all done. So, as always, totally impressed by Park Cities Club.
Thank you, Keith.
Stand up, Sue. I brought my wife, Sue von Bieberstein. You all know Sue.
Welcome, Sue.
I'm delighted to introduce my current wife, Beth.
Welcome, Beth.
I'd like to introduce my wife, my sweetie, Sarah Sheehan.
Oh, Sarah.
I'd like to introduce my guest, Melinda Mitchell. She's from Lubbock originally and raised her children in Park City, so we're glad to have her.
Welcome. Richard, this gentleman's from another country.
Do we have you? Say hi. Introduce yourself.
Hi everyone, my name is Leovaldis Gutierrez. I am the president of the Rotary Club Maracaibo Coquibacoa. I come from Venezuela. Thank you.
Welcome, we're so glad you're here. We'll be sure to get you a Rotary banner. Special welcome to each of our guests. We sincerely hope that you'll decide to join. And now Mr. Mark Casher is going to introduce and highlight Ms. Tanya Boughton, today's PCR Marketplace Advertiser.
Thank you, Happy. Our hub advertiser of the week is the awesome Tanya Boughton right here at the front table. Yeah, let's clap our hands for Tanya. And she's here with Brent Cooper, State Farm. Brent is not here with us today, so everybody look into the live stream and say thank you to Brent. This is Tanya's 8th year in our club and 7th year as co-chair for the University Park tree lighting. She also continues to work on legislation to provide grocery access in underserved areas and is fighting big tobacco at the federal level with legislation and the flavored vaping ban. And okay, yes. Tanya helps with marketing for Brent Cooper State Farm, one of the few agencies actually decreasing their insurance rates. You've got some great swag on the table as well. Brent's been an agent here in Dallas since 1987. His wife Liz is one of Tanya's best friends. Brent and Liz have been married for 34 years. They have 2 sons, both graduates of the Highland Park school system. Brent's a graduate from Florida State University Business School, and his agency has qualified for numerous awards over the years, including the State Farm Chairman's Circle, State Farm President's Club, and $1 Million Roundtable. The Coopers support numerous public and private Dallas and Highland Park schools, as well as the Park Cities and North Dallas YMCAs, and a great supporter of our own Rotary Club as well. In the office, the team enjoys assisting resident relocations to the Dallas area, focusing on auto, homeowners, renters, life, and business insurance throughout Dallas and surrounding Texas areas, with competitive pricing and unparalleled service. So please feel free to call or stop by the office in Preston Center, just down from Sevy's, for a free car or home insurance quote at any time. When insuring what's most important to you, it's even more important that you know your agent, Brent Cooper State Farm. So let's thank Brent, Tanya, and wave hi to Brent in the live stream. Thank you so much.
And now our Sergeant at Arms, Scott McLAUGHLin, is going to tell us about the Rotary Club of Park Cities Foundation. And if you have an April birthday, if you'll come on up, we're going to have you all come up for a birthday photo here momentarily. Thank you.
Okay, who all had an April birthday? We've only got, it's the fewest number in the club for April. Come on up, you may be by yourself. So, first of all, thank you to all of you who in the past have given to the Rotary Club of Park Cities Foundation. I know that most of you here know way more than I do about that foundation, but for those, the new members, I just want to kind of go over and explain briefly. We are one of the few clubs in Rotary that has its own foundation, and that's the Rotary Club of Park Cities Foundation. Not to be confused with the Rotary International Foundation. And I think it oftentimes when Greg and I talk, it may appear and we're not competing with each other. Both of these foundations do great work. If you look on Charity Navigator for Rotary International, it's one of the highest ratings that can be had. I would say the same thing about the Communities Foundation of Texas, which handles our foundation here. Very low administrative cost and very high level of giving to this community for the foundation and to all the programs that Rotary does for Rotary International. So both those are two great programs to support, but I'm here today to talk about our club's foundation. And if you were a director in that foundation, would you please stand? I want the club to know who all those people are. Dan, anybody else? Jeff is not here. Jeff McNaughton heads that up. So, thank you, Jeff. So, understand that that entity is totally separate from this club. While it's memberships, the members are the same, they are two different entities, and their decision-making process is totally independent. So, I think it's important to understand that. So, we're going to take a picture today. Do you have the camera? Who can take a picture? Thanks, Dan. And thank you again for your support for the Rotary Club of Park Cities Foundation.
And now it's time for Happy Bucks. If you have some really great happy news that you want to share with us, please rise and share with us your happy news and whatever dollar denomination you feel comfortable. All the Happy Bucks goes towards different club activities that we have and honoring our public service honorees that we honor once a month.
I've got 3 happy bucks today.
Fabulous.
The first one is that my current wife and I just celebrated our 65th wedding anniversary.
Wow, happy anniversary.
If you aspire to that goal, let me advise you that you've both got to live a long time. There's one happy buck. My next happy buck is the fact that we've just become great grandparents. And it doesn't bother me one bit, just like decade birthdays never bothered me. It doesn't bother me to be a great grandfather. The fact that my baby boy is a grandfather is killing me. That's my second. My third one is to express my pride in this club. Now, I have to admit that I thought when I became less active, the club would fold. But far from that, it has become even more vibrant. We're not quite as big, but we're going for quality now, and we've got a lot of that in spades. You have made this old past president very proud to associate my name with it, the club. Thank you.
Thank you, Rod. Miss Ruth.
Yes, it is. I'm celebrating coming back from knee surgery, and I'll be a regular visitor here at lunch from now on.
Fabulous. We missed you.
The COVID numbers have been down long enough that I'm back at the table.
Awesome. It's great to see you, Jody.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. I'd like to introduce a couple of guests we have today. We have our speaker, Chief Eddie Garcia, who I will introduce a little bit later to you all. But at this point, I'd like you to meet Major Stephen Williams and Deputy Chief Monique Alex, who are with the Dallas Police Department.
And anybody else? I've got a, yeah. Sure, Chris, go ahead.
Okay. Okay. Ryan Bortzong is joining me today. He's with 49 Financial and it's first time to a Rotary Club.
Welcome. We're so glad to have you.
Well, I'm a little old to have a kid going to college, but she chose the University of Denver, and I'm so glad I don't have to travel anymore. No more college things. So that's my.
And we have one more guest. Evan Altimus has a guest. And Jeff has a guest.
Happy Bucks. Okay. Happy Bucks is for pride and thankfulness for our Dallas Police Department.
Yes. This is my wife, Jamie Altimus. Happy Bucks because she was able to and willing to come with me. So anytime she's willing to do that, it's always a happy event. So Warren's Happy Bucks.
Fabulous. Welcome.
She's thinking about joining Rotary. So we'll see.
Awesome.
Be tough on her though if she tries.
Okay. Yeah, you bet.
Thank you, Richard. And now, past President Richard Stanford has a presentation.
Oh, yeah, I didn't know about that.
Oh, this is yours. Oh. He and I are both surprised together. Come on up. One of the perks of being club president is you get a bound book of all of the hubs for your year. And so his book is now bound and is here. And isn't it beautiful? Yeah. Let's give him a round of applause.
Thanks, Laura. She put this thing together.
Congratulations, Richard. And Mr. Stan Wright has our membership minute. Thank you, Stan, for chairing our food bank packing day on Saturday.
Thank you, President Happy. Yeah, one thing I'll start off with is I want to thank everybody who came to that packing day last Saturday. We had, I don't know, Mark, do you have any graphics or didn't make it this year? Okay, that's okay. That's okay. We had about 27, 28 people show up, which is great. We had some people, we had more sign up, but they, had a lot of excuses, like they had to organize their sock drawer and stuff like that. I don't know what they were doing, but anyway, but we ended up, there was our group and there was another group next to us, and ours was I think we were the faster group. I know we worked smarter and harder, and we were a lot better dancers than that group was over there. So we ended up doing, they totaled both groups, and both groups ended up doing about a little over 13,000 meals packing. So I bet, wow. So I think our group, I know our group did more than half. So I bet we did 8,000 of that 13,000 meals. So I want to thank everybody who showed up. You'll have, for you slackers, members who couldn't come to, I will do another one on probably in October. Who all came? Raise your hands. I know you.
Great. No, thank you so much for coming. All right, now part two is my Rotary experience, or my experience with Rotary. It started in February of 2014 when I was approached by a good friend of mine at the time, Tom Rhodes, who Tom, raise your hand. So, well, I want people to see who I'm getting ready to throw under the bus. It's right, okay. Anyway, Tom approached me to be a member. I said, he said a good friend of ours, or more of his, Howard Fitch, had gotten him to join the Rotary, and he was really enjoying it, met a bunch of really nice people, and was having fun. They were doing a lot of good. So he suggested I come. So I came to a couple of meetings and said, yeah, you're right. This is a fun group. It's going to be looks like a good time. And he said, the main thing he told me, he said, they don't do background checks. I said, well, he said, that's how I got in. I said, apparently they don't check. And knowing his background, then I felt much better that I had a chance to be able to get in. Then despite the grilling I took from Tom Swift, I don't see him. Is he back there? Anyway, good. The grilling that he took me, and then I don't know, maybe it's because Tom Rhodes put me up. He even made me take a lie detector test but I was able to beat it, and I passed it. So I came in. So right after that I joined, and then right after that, then Tom approached me again. Now I realized why he was so gung-ho about getting me to join. He said, yeah, I chair the activities at the park, and I need some help doing that. We need to get some more vendors. We need to get some more sponsors and some help. I said, great. So I'd really like, I'll be glad to help you. But I said, really? I said, the Rotary, I said, I've been coming to this parade for like 20 years, 30 years, sitting on the curb. I never realized the Rotary had anything to do with it. So we need to, like that gazebo, we need to wrap that thing with Rotary, and we need to brand this thing. I said, so, which we did, and I think everybody but Ray Charles could realize that the Rotary now is the main producer for the parade. Pardon?
I said, well done.
Oh, and so we worked together for about 5 years, I think, pretty well together, and so at the end of the like 2018. Tom comes to me and he says, I'm not going to do this anymore. I'm going to retire, and I'm going to dump this. I'm going to turn this over to you to run. So I ended up running in 2019, and everything went smooth with Tom's help a little bit, and it went smooth. Then in 2020, as you know, we had the pandemic, so nothing happened in 2020. Then in 2020, except 2020, I'm sorry, Sarah over there, came up with that concept to do the patriotic yard competition decorations, and that was fun to do. We had collaborative partners with the Park Cities people helped us. They put a map in there showing where all the people who'd signed up, where all the yards were, and then balloons every day ended up coming up with these huge prizes kind of in the yards to show who got first, second, third. It was amazing. On the 4th of July, nobody back then, everybody was just wandering around. Nobody was hanging out with each other. Nobody had anywhere to go. And when I was putting these signs up and showing first, second, third in the yards, it was amazing how many people were out riding bikes with their families out there because they needed something to do. So that ended up working great. That was 2021. Last year, that we had the parade, which turned out to be fabulous. At the park, we kind of passed on because we had to make that decision about four months before, and the pandemic was still kind of roaring on, so we were a little skeptical of doing it, so we didn't do it last year. The city of UP did it. This year, we're doing the full meal deal. We're going to do the park and the parade, and I'll be coming back to you groveling for help, to help me set up and to maybe in the morning of the parade, and help me tear it down. Something else I've been very passionate about is Karen Ferris here. I haven't seen Karen. Anyway, Karen, in 2015, she had a project she wanted the club to buy a pantry truck, or buy a truck for the North Texas Food Bank to use for their distributions. So we had a fundraiser. We raised the money, $100 and some thousand, raised it, and so we our first distribution started about 2016. We were in West Dallas and for 2 or 3 months over there, and it didn't really go very well. We couldn't get the word out, so I shifted it to the Martin Luther King Rec Center over there in MLK, south of Fair Park, and it was the same thing. It didn't go very far, or get a lot of people coming out there. Then I realized that we had a great partnership with the Agape Center. So we moved it over to the Agape Center, and with Stephanie Bowen, she did these flyers, so we had a great turnout over there. I had a great core group of people that helped me. Fred Brown over there, he would show we did it over there for like 3 years. We did it the second Tuesday of every month. It was rain, sleet, snow, grasshoppers, everything. We went through the whole everything. But those guys showed. Oh, and Tim and Kara Keenan were also there, but to my chagrin, he took a job in Denver. He was a huge help on that. So anyway, that's it. Oh, and so in 2020, the food bank, my representative over there called me and said, you can't use the food truck anymore. We've got to use it for other distributions. It was the beginning of that pandemic, and then what they were doing, they were using it over at Fair Park. So what we were doing is really small potatoes compared to what they were going to use it for. So they said, basically, thanks a lot for the truck, but you guys can't use it anymore, sucker. So hopefully we get the truck back by the end of the year, and we can start that back up again. Oh, I do have a disclaimer on this. Everything I told you today was true, except for the things that weren't. Thank you.
Couple quick announcements. We have the All Club Membership Dinner on Tuesday, April 26th at the Park City Club. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to be honoring and recognizing our new members. Tickets are $52 a person. It's a 3-course dinner. It's going to be lots of fun. Really looking forward to that. And then we have dance lessons at COWBOYS Red River on Thursday, April 28th. It's a free lesson, and then we can go dancing afterwards. District Governor Max Duplant is a masterful dancer, and she's going to plan on joining us for dancing. So I'm looking forward to that. Excuse me. And the district conference and awards banquet is Friday and Saturday, April 22nd and 23rd. Please sign up to join us. So there's bowling on Friday night. There's an all-club luncheon on Saturday, and the awards dinner is on Saturday night. We've applied for 18 awards, so we have really good odds. I'm really looking forward to that. And a lot of people here are going to be recognized, all of your hard work, and so please make plans to attend and enjoy the festivities. We're going to have another blood drive on Monday, May 16th at the Moody, Park City's Y, and that's going to be from, excuse me, from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. You can sign up online. Love for you to join us there. Please spread the word. Without any further ado, Past President Pam Carvey is going to introduce our fabulous speaker.
Good afternoon, everyone. I know we're in for a big treat today because this man has made time in his life to come and talk with us. Today we're going to hear from the 30th Police Chief of Dallas Police Department. He came in 2021 to command the 9th largest police department in the country. I know I didn't realize we were the 9th largest, but that's great. And Chief Garcia came from the San Jose Police Department, where he spent his entire 29-year career until he came and joined our wonderful city. So let's give it up to Police Chief Eddie Garcia. We would love to hear from you.
Say doctor's good. Take a doctor. Yeah, take doctor's good. How's everybody doing? Seems like a pretty lively crowd here. Everybody's Monday's going well? Well, yeah. Oh, is it Friday? Every day's a Monday for me. So I was just telling my team over here that even weekends are Mondays with a free calendar, but there's always things to do. So again, it's great to be here. Thanks for having me. Now I've been in the city of Dallas. Now I'm doing this job for 14 months. And I come from California, and I will tell you this, one of the dynamics for being in California, one of the first things I heard from my rank and file was, please do not California our DPD. I think I've held that true, but I'm hoping I haven't California'd it too much for them. But I came from California, did almost 30 years in California. I got hired, I was a 21-year-old kid in 1992 when I got the job, applied in 91. And it's interesting now I say that laughingly because now as the recruits graduate from the academy and I ask, raise your hands if any of you were born in 1992, and more hands are going up with every academy class that comes up. So definitely makes me feel my time in this profession that I love. I spent, again, my entire career in San Jose. I was born in Puerto Rico, moved to California, learned how to speak English there, and then grew up through the association, the department in San Jose. I call myself a blue-collar chief. I didn't go to the fancy schools. I didn't do any of that. I learned by being in the field. I learned how to do police work by not reading books, but by trying to be a cop. I worked when I was an officer and going up through San Jose. I've worked narcotics enforcement. I was on the SWAT team. I was a homicide investigator. I commanded vice, criminal intelligence, and I worked community affairs. I worked in a lot of units. And so I like to think, even today, as I go out riding patrol with my officers, which was rough working deep nights. I don't know, deep nights is 12 o'clock to 8 in the morning. And I rode that shift, and that is a young person's game. I will tell you that. I think I only needed a couple cups of coffee and a bang to get me through the night. But then after that, I had to come back into the office. But it was awesome, and I love doing that and riding out there because, I like to think that, whether it's interviewing a homicide suspect that's across the table from you that did some atrocious things, to doing a search warrant and being the first one to enter on a violent criminal, or going out to community events. I like to think that I've been on perimeters when it's raining, when it's cold, and so, the work of our men and women is just extraordinary. When I was looking to come into this job, people would ask me, Chief, why do you want to stay in the game? After almost 30 years, and the last 5 years as police chief in San Jose, which, by the way, is the 10th largest city in the country, so moved up to the 9th largest city in the country. And I'd say, hey, listen, and this was in light, in the wake of, the George Floyd protests and things of that nature, and a lot of chiefs were leaving the profession. And I said to myself, I go, man, if those of us that know how to do this job and know what our communities need, that we need to take the criminal element off of our streets, and at the same time, we need to ensure that the community trusts us. If those of us that truly understand that and have lived that in our entire careers, if we all hung up the cleats, who's left? So I didn't want to give up. There were smaller cities that I could have gone to, but when I heard about Dallas being open, probably about 2 years ago, I was at a conference with one of my good friends that was the chief of police in Charlotte, Mecklenburg at the time, Kurt Putney, and I said, you know what? This was 2 years prior to this job opening up. I said, if that Dallas job ever opened up, I'd be interested in doing that. So I announced my retirement from San Jose, and then a month later, this job came open. I'm like, all right, someone's telling me something. So there's no hiding the fact that my job here, our job coming here, was to reduce violent crime in the city of Dallas. And the minute that I got this job, I remember talking to two criminologists that I had worked for from the University of Texas, San Antonio, and told them, hey, listen, we need to come up with a plan, that's going to reduce violent crime. We need to come up with a plan that's going to increase community trust. We need to change the national narrative that our communities don't want us, because that's simply not true. There's not been a neighborhood in the city of Dallas. I mean, I'm fortunate enough that I do speak Spanish fluently, and it doesn't matter where I'm at. It doesn't matter what language spoken, economic status, racial background of any neighborhood that I've been here impacted by crime in the city of Dallas that has ever asked me for less police in their neighborhoods. Not once. And so I say that to a lot of people oftentimes, and there's some people that want to continue to believe the others, and I say, well, come out with me when I go on patrol. Come out with me when I go to community meetings. And you know what's funny? No one ever takes me up on that. It's interesting how that works. And so coming here and working with the criminologists, you know, what we've been able to do, and we did last year in the city of Dallas, was reduce violent crime in the city of Dallas like no other major city had been able to do. And all of that is done, you know, and I get chief this and that and the other. It has nothing to do with me. It has to do with the men and women that wear this uniform. You know, a coach is only as good as his team, as his or her team, and we have an amazing team. I mean, I can come up with the best tackle trap play. I'm a football guy, by the way. Yeah, I can come up with the best tackle trap play in the world that looks great on paper, but if the men and women don't believe in it, it isn't going to work. You know, there's a reason why I'm in Dallas. It meant something to me to be here. I was a Dallas Cowboy fan before I spoke English. You know, I've been fortunate enough to meet one of my first heroes, Captain America, and Mr. Staubach, and which has been awesome. It ranks up there with me testifying in front of Senate. I got to tell him that next time I see him. But yeah, huge Cowboy fan. I know it's been rough for us. As one of my younger sons would tell me every once in a while after a loss, "Why'd you do this to us, Dad?" You know, I'm sorry, but one day you will see it happen. So I was going to end up in North Texas anyway, one way or the other, and I'm just happy I'm down the street from my team. But coming here again, the reduction of violent crime is all due to the men and women of this police department and the sacrifices they make every day. And I will never, ever give a speech, talk to anyone without telling them about the amazing men and women that they have working for them and the sacrifices that they make every day. We could not do it without them. You know, going into the crime plan and some things that we did, a reduction of violent crime, is working with the criminologists. We divided the city of Dallas into about 101,000 grids. Now those grids are micro grids that are the size of a little larger than a football field. And we impacted 47 to 50 of those grids. Now we need to continue to grow as a department. But for the staffing that we have, I didn't want a checkbox. I didn't want everyone to feel great, hey, there's a grid in your area, and still not move the needle. And so to be a grid in the city of Dallas, you had to have led the city of Dallas in robbery, murder, or aggravated assault in the last 90 days. So it's not necessarily a feather in your cap to have a grid. But we certainly wanted a program and a plan that wouldn't get diluted, and so that the men and women could feel worth and reduce violent crime. The interesting thing about those 47 to 50 grids in our city is we depict those grids, they represent roughly 10% of the city's overall violent crime. So the thinking between ourselves and the criminologists is if we reduce violent crime in those grids, that represented roughly 10% of the city's total violent crime, we will reduce violent crime as a city as a whole. It's important for our community to feel safe. It's important for our businesses to flourish. It's important for people to want to come to Dallas, and so I get that perspective, and our men and women do as well. And so this last, you know, obviously we talked about the reductions in violent crime last year, but I'll tell you this right now, I'm done talking about last year. It's about this year. Because coming back to a football analogy, I don't think the Los Angeles Rams are going around having press conferences about the Super Bowl last year. They're interested about this year. And so we're interested about continuing to reduce violent crime this year and what we're going to do moving forward in the city of Dallas. You know, we have to grow as a police department. You know, so far, year to date, today, our violent crime is down over 10%. Our aggravated assaults are down. We've seen an uptick in some murders in the city, a lot of them having to do with family violence and things of that nature. But in our grids that I explained to you earlier in the last rating period, in the last 90 days, our grids, violent crime within those grids that are representative of that 10% reduced 66% in the last 90 days. And again, all that's due to the men and women that are doing two things: arresting the criminal element, taking the criminal element off the streets of Dallas, and at the same time working just as hard in communities that are vulnerable to make sure that they feel that they can trust this police department, which is incredible. One statistic that always comes to me is that our homicide rate, our homicide solve rate in the city of Dallas is nearly 80%, was nearly 80% last year in 2021. And I'll tell you what, that is something that is extraordinary. So when people say that we don't care, or we want this, your men and women care, and they care deeply. You know, this department needs to grow. There's no question about it. We need to grow in 4 different ways. Number one, we need to recruit, okay? We need to recruit. And I was just at a conference recently with other major city chiefs from around the country last week, and recruiting is an issue nationally. And let's just call it out. I don't know if anyone's heard me speak before, but I'm going to say it as it is, guy. All right? There's been a national narrative in this country that has vilified honorable police officers, that has made honorable, now don't get me wrong, I say honorable on purpose because we do have individuals that have no business wearing this uniform. but the vast majority of our men and women are honorable men and women that sacrifice, and it's those individuals that have been felt vilified. It's those individuals that have not felt supported. And so I don't care what job you do, it's going to be difficult to bring people on board if they feel that way. So as I was at a meeting this morning in Uptown, I said the same exact thing. I said, we collectively as a community need to get together and say, this is the place, if you want to start a career in law enforcement, that we want. The second thing that we need to do is we need to reduce officers that are not rookies, but are not veterans from going elsewhere. Okay, and thinking that there's greener pastures and feeling that they feel more supported somewhere else. We've done a good job of that to stem that, but we need to continue to keep our eye on the ball on that. Number 3, we need to bring lateral police officers, and I say this very loud and clear. If you are a police officer, whether in the state of Texas in another department or across this country, that does not feel supported, that if you don't feel supported by your administration, if you don't feel supported by your city, if you don't feel supported by your community, I have a city that supports law enforcement. And I will show you that here, because I will tell you this, coming from the state of California, and unfortunately I say this for anybody who's from California or all my friends that ever listen to me, California is a place that everything, all of this that I've been for the last we're coming on a couple months or a year and a half that I've been here, I'm not used to the support that we've gotten here. Now, if you're from Texas and if you're from the city of Dallas, you may feel that you get support, it could be better. I'm going to tell you right now, it could be a lot worse. Okay, I come from a state where individuals are almost fearful, I don't care where you're from, even if they support law enforcement. I come from a place that individuals are almost at times fearful of standing up and saying, I support law enforcement. I thought you were going to hit the gavel. You want me to use this one? Oh. Is that better? I wasn't loud enough? I don't think I've ever gotten I'm not loud enough. So I'll show you a place that supports you. And so the appreciation that you have for our men and women, although you will hold us accountable and we should be held accountable, is amazing. Absolutely amazing. And I applaud that. And so, and then the last piece is we have to ensure that individuals that are eligible to retire don't leave the moment they're eligible to retire. If you're eligible to retire, what I want to do, I would like to keep you, even if I keep you for one more year. You know, I have been fortunate enough, I've had individuals that have been eligible to retire, and they've come up to me and say, hey, Chief, you know what? I kind of like the way things are going on. I'm going to hang on one more year. And that's music to my ears. Because when we hire a recruit, it takes about 18 months for that individual, that man or woman, to be ready to be a solo beat officer. 18 months. So we have an attrition rate in Dallas that fluctuates around 200 officers that are eligible to retire or leave per year. If just 30 of those officers said, we're going to stick around for another year, that's an academy class. And it's an academy class that starts today, not an academy class that's going to start from 18 months. So to grow this police department, we need to do those 4 things. We've gotten tremendous support from our city manager and our mayor with regards to growing this police department. I've said this many times before. I'm not quite certain there's another mayor in America more supportive of law enforcement than our mayor is. And I will tell you that we will continue to grow. And we need to really push the recruiting and push all those 4 areas, which there's no question about it. You know, as one of the best professional experiences that I ever had. I talk a lot, and I know I'm going to cut it for questions here in a little bit if you have some. One of the most important professional moments I had was the ability when I was asked to testify in front of the United States Senate, and the testimony regarded violent crime and carjackings. And I got the question as to why I think crime has gone up. Well, crime has gone up for a myriad of reasons. Now, listen, I'll go into the fact. Listen, our neighborhoods that have been vulnerable and that have been impacted by violent crime, didn't get into this mess overnight. We're not going to get out of it overnight. And we can't do it as a police department together. We are not going to arrest our way out or into a safer Dallas. We're not. It's going to take all of us collectively. It's going to take more investments in certain communities that we have, more investments in individuals to ensure that they don't fail. Okay? Because I'll tell you what, when we talk about helping out, if they fail, why is that a police department's role? I'll tell you why. Because if they fail, someone in our community has been victimized. So I think it would behoove us all, regardless on what side you're on as to believing what you want to believe, that it would behoove us to try to help them succeed, and individuals succeed, whether they're on a conveyor belt to a life of crime, or whether they're getting reintroduced in the city of Dallas. I just came from Hutchins State Jail a few weeks back, where I talked to 50 individuals that are about to get paroled, and all 50 were coming back to Dallas. And our conversation was very clear. Well, first and foremost, I'll say this. I have the best relationship I have ever had with my federal partners. HSI, FBI, Marshals, DEA, ATF. We meet constantly. We're friends. I have never, ever had a relationship with my federal partners that I have here. And I will say this not being the only large city that I have worked with as a chief. You have amazing federal assistants here. They are amazing, and they should be a role model for other chiefs around the country because we can't do it on our own. We need them. And so we went into the group, and we told them, listen, if you're going to come back out to Dallas and act the fool, we're very good at what we do, and you are going to end up right back here or somewhere else. I had Jeff Boshek, who I love to death, who's our ATF SAC, says, listen, don't have drugs and carry a gun because you're going to go to federal prison for 15 years. He told it to the group. We're very honest with the group. But I had reentry services as well, and I also said it. But here's the thing. If you need a job when you get out, if you need your driver's license when you get out, if you need job training, okay, if you need some other assistance, we want to try to give you tools to get there. We want you to succeed because if you fail, that means someone else has been victimized. That's part of the crime plan as well. Okay, so we are not simply about arresting people, okay, and taking them off, although that's necessary. We're also about reinvestments in our community, which is absolutely crucial. Another piece, and I'll say it, we need to hold every system, every part of the criminal justice system accountable. Okay? From myself to our DA and from judges that at times make irresponsible decisions in the name of reform. Okay? I don't know if anyone follows my Twitter or other things that I specifically actually said that in Senate. We cannot be the only part of the criminal justice system that's transparent. You all should know. If whoever in the system makes a decision, they should have no problem in publicizing the decision that they made. We cannot be the only ones. We need to be, but we can't be the only one that has to be transparent. Collectively, to get Dallas to where we need to be together. All right? There is no question your law enforcement officers, particularly in the city of Dallas, are working extremely hard. We're strapped in, there's no question about it, and we need to grow as a police department. But we're on the right track, and we're right in the right track because of the men and women that you see wearing this uniform. It's not because of me. You know, I have 4 goals when I got here from the day I got here and the day I left, or the day I will leave. Number 1 is reduce violent crime in the city of Dallas. Number 2 is to increase morale within this police department, because I tell you what, there is no crime plan that's going to work if the morale of your men and women are low. 0. There have been other chiefs that have asked me, what's your crime plan, chief? This and that and the other. I go, well, first and foremost, get a pulse on where your morale is. Because if your men and women have been beat down and you have done nothing to raise them up, there is no crime plan that's going to work for you. So let me just give you that. So 1 is, so again, reduce violent crime in the city of Dallas. Increase morale with the rank and file. Increase community trust in our community. And finally, I want to ensure that the next chief of police for the city of Dallas, because I will not be here forever, comes within the walls of the Dallas Police Department. Because that last one really is the cherry on top. Because if we've reduced violent crime, if we increase morale, and we've increased community trust, my goal is to walk into the city manager's office and say, you're wasting your money by doing an outside search because I got your chief right here for all the collective work that we've done. And we're going to continue to drive on and do that. Now, they may not listen to me, all right? But we're going to do that. You know, we can't be ever. There's other policies and procedures that we're doing in the city, and the city council has been extraordinary with regards to listening to what I have to say and helping me get some things accomplished. Whether it be an SOB ordinance, whether it be upcoming entertainment permits or promoters ordinances that will help us. That will help us and will help my men and women. But I will tell you that I believe we're on the right track. Are there challenges ahead? Absolutely there's challenges ahead, and we're not perfect. We will make mistakes. Okay, the goal is to continue to reduce and have the, when I was asked what's the goal in the reduction of violent crime, chief, and I said, well, at the time, if you looked at the trend was going up, and I didn't even be snippet about it, but like the goal is to get that to start looking like that. I know that sounds like oversimplification, but we're talking about men, we're talking about human beings, we're talking about trying to do what we can do to reduce violent crime. If it doesn't work, we'll try something else, but I guarantee you this department will not give up. All right, I wanted to open up some questions. I think we got 10 minutes.
I'll take this around. Okay.
So, Chief, what's the current status, or how would you describe the issue you have with car racing and all the street takeovers here in Dallas?
Yeah, so I love that question, and here's why I love that question. So, the street racing in the city of Dallas. So, one of the things, and I'm so proud about what I will say last, we have an amazing team that goes out proactively to do interdiction with the groups that come into Dallas. They have made hundreds of arrests, citations, towing cars when they go to these state takeovers. Now, we need to really look at takeovers from not just an enforcement perspective, an educational perspective, which I say educational perspective, and sometimes I roll my eyes only because I don't think I need to tell somebody they shouldn't do street racing and doing a takeover, but we'll throw education in there. And the last piece is engineering. Right? We need to find ways to make these intersections not look as attractive to some individuals or these streets or roads. I'll tell you, I'm not a stay-in-the-office kind of chief. I've been all around the city of Dallas, and there are some roads that I'm seemingly on a road for about 10 minutes before I even see a stop sign to stop me. I mean, just innately, you're like, oh, I'm on a highway. Well, no, you're not on a highway. You're on a city street, right? So one thing I will say, so we're doing a lot to interdict the street racing to the point where we use a lot of intelligence. And the individuals that promote these races will promote them on social media. And there's social media posts. These individuals don't like me very much. I will say that. And other ones that say, if we're going to go street racing, don't do it in the city of Dallas. There are media posts that will talk about it now. Is the problem completely fixed? No. But the fact that we've taken a stance about enforcement and not being afraid to actually do our jobs, and to tell my men and women, do your job right, follow following procedure, treat people with respect, treat people professionally, not because they're professional, but because you're professional, but do your job, and letting them do that has made those comments on social media possible, and that starts getting around. So it's a national issue, but I think we're on the right track with that.
Several years ago, I was with a Leadership Dallas program. We got to sign up for the ride-along program, and I picked a Saturday night with a fella, and it wasn't 20 minutes. We were talking back and forth, introducing ourselves, and about 20 minutes later, all of a sudden, there's a call into him and said, there's been a robbery or a break-in at a school in South Dallas, and here we go, the sirens go on, the lights go on. I'm going, this is the coolest thing I've ever done. And so we pulled into this park, and here come 3 more squad cars. This guy jumps out. I jump out to my side. I'm right with him. He stops and says, where do you think you're going? I said, I got your back. And he went, get back in that car right now. So my question is about the ride-along program. It was great, and I'd like to do it again. How can we sign up for that?
Question. I have to. Here, give.
You can contact each individual station, and they will process your paperwork for you. You're allowed to actually write out once every year, so you have every year to go out and have fun.
Got one from Pam.
I have a question for you. I read recently, or no, I guess it was a year ago maybe, about Cafe Momentum. And we, in our foundation, have given money to Cafe Momentum over the years. But you had an evening at Cafe Momentum that was written up in the paper, and I think people here should know about it in case they didn't see the article.
Well, first of all, Chad is one of my favorite people. He's amazing. Cafe Momentum, most people know what it is, right, with regards to giving kids another chance that have been formerly incarcerated. But I went to Cafe Momentum. There's a reason why I wear long sleeves when I'm in uniform. I'm sleeved up. I have tattoos up and down my arms. Okay? But I wear a uniform because I'll never get rid of the tattoo policy. Because when I'm outside of uniform, I'm a certain individual. When I'm in uniform, I just believe that I need to look a certain way. And I know there's a lot of younger officers that were all excited when I got in. And I'm like, oh, we have a sleeve chief. He's going to change the policy. I go, no, I'm not changing the policy. I'll be just as hot as you are in a couple months. So when I'm at events. So it's funny. I was at the state fair, and I took a picture when it was like 95 degrees or something. And someone tweeted, Chief, why the short sleeve, or why the long sleeves? Well, there's a reason why the long sleeves. But in any event, so I went to Cafe Momentum, and it was kind of like I just say this for lack of a better term because we're not their bosses, but it was like a what is that called? Meet the boss or undercover boss. And so we went in. I went in plain clothes. I was wearing a T-shirt and a baseball hat and short sleeves, and we went in there with a bunch of officers, all in plain clothes, to work with these young adults that had just been formerly incarcerated and then now working for Cafe Momentum. And so we're there, and we worked with all the kids, and actually the media was there because they're always there when people are in groups are working with the young adults. And I remember I was washing dishes, and they asked my supervisor, who was one of the employees that works for a young woman. And they asked, and she goes, well, she didn't know they were officers, but there was 3 people, 2 of them were officers and me. And she's like, well, she's doing great, and she points at me and she goes, but he needs a lot of work. And I remember everyone joking about that after. I was like, man. So then a couple days later, they brought them all back for lunch, and we went in uniform. And man, I know there was video of it, but it was so awesome to see the young adults going, oh man, I didn't know it was you, this and that and the other, blah, blah, blah. She goes, I see you all the time. How did I not know? And I will say this, you may see me outside of uniform. You may not even recognize me because a lot of people don't oftentimes. But it was just a great experience, really trying to, again, break that narrative that, hey, we want people to succeed. All right, we would not succeed as a department or as a community or as a city if we didn't have individuals succeed. So it's important for those young adults to say, hey, listen, not everyone's against you. The police department certainly is against you. As our officers explained our life stories to those young kids, some of them are really rough. Some of our officers have had a really rough life growing up. A lot of them were involved in some type of activities that never got them to the next level, but sharing those stories was very, very impactful. So it was a great opportunity. We want to do more of Cafe Momentums. I've had meetings with them and others to try to have different models throughout the city, but it's just a great program, and he's doing just a fabulous job.
Chief, I want to thank you for coming today. Yeah, great job, and especially a great job you're doing in this environment, and your other officers doing with the stupid defund the police thing that they've got is ridiculous. One thing I want to commend you on, you were talking about street racing. One thing I haven't seen in the press, and maybe they're just not publicizing, where these people take over the street corners and they start flipping out and they're running over people, which was really kind of stupid. I haven't seen that in a long time. You guys have done a great job of shutting that down. That was one thing. And then I want to ask you, have you seen an influx of crime in this area because of all the immigrants coming over from Mexico that basically don't have jobs?
So, it's interesting. I had that same question this morning, but the first one on the takeovers, I'll say this: if the media is not reporting it, it's because it's not happening, because they don't give us a break on anything. So I'll say that it's the enforcement. We're very data-driven department, so we've looked at historically what intersections have been taken over. So we're working very closely with the city to work on that engineering piece to not make it look as attractive as it could be. We're using intelligence to figure out where these crews are going to be meeting and where they're going, and we're doing a pretty good job of that. So I know there's times where it does come up and it's getting hot, right? We all know there's not a police chief in America that does not know that during the summer months we're going to have more activity. It's just going to happen, and so we'll keep an eye on that. With regards to your second question, we have not seen that. I certainly have not seen that. And I said this, and I'll say this morning. Yes, and I meet with Hank Sibley. I met with my federal partners and state partners yesterday. I met with Hank, and we talked about the fact that the troopers are going to be sending more troopers down to the border because there obviously is the issue that's occurring. But as I've said before, and I'll say we haven't seen it yet, but I have a lot more crimes being committed in the city of Dallas by people that are documented residents of the United States than I do that are not. And so I'm not saying there's an issue. There is an issue on the border. There obviously is. But when it comes to crime and how it impacts Dallas, I have issues with actual citizens of the country committing crimes at a far faster pace than I do non. And that's whether it's anecdotal or the numbers, but that's at least my perception of what's going on right now.
All right, Chief, we have one more question from Art.
Yes. What's the policy with drones? What freedom do you have for using them, and what are the restrictions?
That's like an oral board question right here. Well, we just started a drone unit. I can't tell you what the restrictions are. I mean, we can't. I mean, it has to be flown for specific law enforcement purposes and public safety purposes. You know, I don't have the policy in front of me, but we do have a drone program. They're incredibly helpful. They really, I don't want to say they ever take the place of Air One, of our helicopter, but they certainly give us capabilities that Air One doesn't have. And certainly we've gotten a lot of support from the council to do it, because I'll tell you what, I will say this again, there are other places that I would have had to jump through 100 hoops to try to get a system in place to help public safety. You know, and the 100 hoops I would have had to do was in California, where, you know what, when we can make a case that this is not for any other reason that anyone's trying to make it out to be, it is to help our community and help our men and women keep our community safe. I apologize I don't have the policy in front of me, but there are a lot of restrictions to it. You know, we're not going to be flying it over your house while you're in the pool. You know, there's going to be and if someone sees a DPD drone do that, please call me, because that's not cool. We don't allow that. But again, we do have a drone program. We just jumped off our drone unit, and it's going to be incredibly helpful for, you know, for critical incidences, missing people, and things of that nature. But again, there are a lot of restrictions that are in place. Oh, you're welcome. Thank you. All right.
Thank you both very much for being here today, and a book is being placed in your honor at McShan Elementary. I'd like to get a picture with both of you right now.
Sure. Thank you.
We normally get the picture afterwards, but I know everybody's going to swarm you, so I wanted to be sure to get the picture before the meeting ended. Thank you so much for all you do. Next week's meeting, we're not having a meeting, and so enjoy your Friday. Next week is Good Friday, so have a Good Friday, and then we'll see you on 4/22. We have a number of guests today. If you are a current or an incoming board member, if you'll please stand. So we have a number of guests, and so guests, if you're ready to join today, if you'll see one of us, we'll make sure that you get signed up today. Thank you. And now Miss Susan Glenn is going to lead us in the four-way test.
Well, Chief Garcia, I just want to say I wore this blue to honor you. I backed the blue. That's the truth. Thank you for your service and sacrifice. We love all of you. So, the four-way test is an ethical guide for Rotarians to use their personal and professional relationships. For their personal and professional relationships. The test has been translated in more than 100 languages, and Rotarians cite it at club meetings. Please join me and recite with me. And this is going to be a four-way test for each of you because we don't have the screens. No cheat sheet today. So, of the things we think they are due. First, is it the truth? Second, is it fair to all concerned? 3, in real relationships. 4, will be beneficial to all concerned. Thank you.
Have a wonderful weekend.